Good morning and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show, an emergency stream, a special on one of our own, Archie Gray. And what a mad 24 hours it's been. Myself and Jason, we were on yesterday morning and we speculated at the top of the show about Archie Gray's future. And boy, oh boy, did it kick off yesterday. Apparently an agreed transfer to Brentford came out of nowhere in the afternoon, late on about 5-ish or so. And it sent the Twitterverse into absolute meltdown. Very, very strong reactions, to say the least. It felt like one of those Leeds United days that we're so used to with fans, where everything is just absolute chaos. But welcome along to the stream. Myself and Jason, we're going to get into everything. We're going to break it down because I think, to be perfectly honest, I was fully prepared to come on this stream and defend the 49ers. I'm going to put my cards on the table. That's where I was at with this. I was fully prepared to come on, and I didn't think the 49ers had done anything wrong in this situation. The situation has since changed. Just probably about an hour ago, it's transpired that Leeds United have actually rejected Brentford's bid for Archie Gray. Not sure what's happened there. Don't know if this is something that Archie agreed terms with Brentford before Leeds had even accepted a bid, which actually is going to put a spin on people's heads, because I was hearing takes yesterday where people were saying Leeds had a gun against Archie's head. You have to go to Brentford and all this kind of nonsense. Jason, a wild... I mean, when that news story broke yesterday, I mean, it was just a case of strap yourself in, because it's going to be something else. Just before we do get started, please do like the video, get your comments in, and subscribe to the channel as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't want to speak for you, but I think we sit a little bit aside from the general social media consensus of this absolute meltdown. Like, I've been on social media trying to calm people down. I mean, some of the content, and I love a lot of the content creators that are in this sphere, you know, some of them that I've watched and I've watched for years with much bigger audiences than us. I think I've had an absolute nightmare with this. I think they've had an absolute nightmare simply because I don't think it's healthy for the club. I don't think it's healthy for the fan base that we all of a sudden, as a mass, seem to start turning on the 49ers. Or they've had a terrible start, even though they had a start a year ago. They've been here a year, guys, in sole control. I mean, some of the takes that I've seen, some of the overreaction has been absolutely wild. And there's different reasons for that, and we can get into all of that and all the rest of it. But yeah, I mean, for me, I'm exactly the same as you, in that I was here to kind of defend the 49ers if they'd taken the decision to sell Archie Gray for £40 million. You're talking about our third highest total ever for a player that had not even played more than 5 games in centre midfield, his natural position, and filled in at right back. Sure, top talent. Sure, don't want to see him go. But reality check, people, we're a championship side that have got, you know, needs to meet, none more so than actually rebuilding this squad to help us get promoted. Like, forget PSR for a minute. The conversation is that we need to rebuild quite a bit of this squad. We've all openly said that we've got many positions that we need to fill. So how do you think we're going to do that and conform with rules? Like, it's as simple as that. And then obviously things have changed, and the flip-flop that I'm seeing from fans, you know, we've now turned the deal down. Well, hold on a minute. 24 hours ago, just like you said, we had a gun to Archie's head and we told him that he needed to go to Brentford. Yeah. Now it's, fan reaction has turned this deal. Guys, if there's anybody in this chat that's watching now that thinks the 49ers, multi-billion pound organisation, is looking at Twitter and seeing Anthony 5508 has kicked off about this deal, and that's making them turn down £40 million if they needed it, it'd be going through. So whether it is to generate a bidding war, if it is to generate a bidding war, great, because that's what you should do. I remember Fabian Delph going to Aston Villa for £6-7 million under Ken Bates, right? This is worlds away from that. If we're getting £40 million for Archie Gray, that is sensational business. Well, we're not even getting 40 million. We've had an offer for 40 million that we've turned down. So you talk 45, 50. Jude Bellingham went to Dortmund for 25 million. And we want to believe that he's like this generational talent. He's not going to be Jude Bellingham. I don't think. He could have the ceiling for that, maybe, but it's unlikely. Yeah. So we need to honestly, if I can partake a little bit of wisdom with this today, yeah, then I'll have done a good deed, because it's blown my mind, honestly.
I just want to bring this up here because just as Ian has mentioned in the comments as well, apparently it was about how the deal was structured. So Ben Jacobs, Leeds have now rejected Brentford's bid. It was never totally done despite a fee being agreed. Payment structure not fully accepted. Door remains open to other clubs. So another twist again. Yeah, I agree 100% with what you said there. And I know that it's a very strange one, and I totally understand fans being upset at losing Archie Gray. Listen, I yesterday I was absolutely gutted at the idea of Archie Gray leaving Leeds United. 100%. I did not want to see him leave Leeds United because it does feel like the heart and soul of Leeds, the Gray dynasty, all of that stuff. I'm absolutely devastated to see him leave the club. But I'm not looking at 49ers going, oh, this is, the Red Bull. I'm starting to see all these conspiracies about, see, look, Red Bull have taken, this is what Red Bull do. And I mean, what? It's a shirt sponsor and a minority investment. If you think Red Bull are behind us potentially selling Archie Gray, I mean, it's just insane. I mean, what?
The thing is, Brandon, right? People cook stuff up. I'm just looking at a comment now where it says, and social media in real life, you should just come off of it completely when these things happen. But the comment says, why agree the deal and then reject the next day? We didn't agree a deal. You're making that up based on what an incorrect journalist is telling you. There was nowhere that Leeds United said, we've accepted the deal. The 49ers didn't come out and say, we've accepted a bid for Archie Gray. You're just assuming that's what happened yesterday. And then all that's happened in the middle of that is the reaction from the fans. They genuinely think that the fan reaction is making this deal not go through. And you know what? If it has been rejected because of the structure of the deal, good. Because if the deal structure doesn't suit Leeds United and what we need, then we reject it. It's as simple as that. That's great. So, if it is down to restructuring, because if we're getting 40 million up front, very similar to the Calvin situation with City, and the Rafinha deal with Barcelona, I know that they had their issues with the way that they were paying it at the time, but the City deal, certainly for Calvin, was all up front. And that made a big difference to the way that we could then structure as deals. And if that's the case for this, then great. And if it does need to be done by the end of June, then it needs to be done by the end of June. And if it's not done today, by the looks of it, if we don't get a deal that structures it, we will then put ourselves in a situation where we might be facing a points deduction in 12 months' time if we don't get promoted. So they're making that decision. They're trying to weigh up whether it's going to be the right thing or not. And let's just cut to the chase with this. This ain't the 49ers doing. This is Rads and Autos doing. This is still impact based on what we're having to deal with. Bear in mind, this is the same ownership group that 12 months ago put themselves in a position that where they were, no, Nonto's not going for 25 million. No, Sinisteri, you're not leaving. And they were forced to then be put in a position where they were going to court. If this were an organisation that just wanted money, give to us, they'd have sold Nonto, they'd have sold Sinisteri. Do you not think that we had suitors for Archie Gray in January? I bet we did, where clubs were looking at maybe 20 million, 15 million, get him out of there quickly before he, turns into this 40 million pound player. The money will have been there in January should they have just wanted a quick buck. This is not the same as previous ownerships. I've seen people online. Sorry, I'm going to rant just for a second.
Yeah, go for it.
I've seen people online saying that we're showing a lack of ambition. In what world? We're a championship team. If we were having this conversation in the Premier League, we'd just been promoted and Brentford came in for 40 million quid, I could get it. I could absolutely get it. He should be saying, absolutely not. He's our prized asset. We can offer him exactly the same as you. We don't need the money. We don't need it to sort of PSR. That would be showing a lack of ambition. This is not the same. It's absolutely not the same.
No, absolutely not. And how quickly we are to just torch the 49ers. Like, how quickly is that some of the fan base just ready to throw it all in the bin and go, 49ers, useless, this, that, and the other. Look, we know that they're an investment firm. We know that they ultimately want to make money on Leeds United and sell us on in a long-term future, but that they're building up the asset to do that.
They're not taking it away. And the reality is, when you're a championship team, name me one other championship team that's rejecting a bid anywhere near 40 million.
They're not. They're not.
You know,
Brown it as well. This 40 million quid on paper to them means nothing. It's all about a PSR rule. What means the profit for the 49ers as an investment company is promotion to the Premier League, because it's about how much their shares are valued at and how much they can then sell the company for. So don't think that they're skimming the bit off the top like Bates used to do. It's not the same, because all it does is go down on paper. For the 49ers, the only thing that matters is getting to the Premier League so they can sell us for as much as possible. I get that, and I understand that, and I'm all about it, because that's the way that modern football is. I'm gonna give Downs just a little bit of airtime with this comment. Obviously, he's tongue in cheek and he's taking a bit. I think it's a terrible move for Archie. If I'm totally honest, I understand that Brentford are at a stage where they've consolidated Premier League football for a couple of years, but I get that he'd get first in football. I get that he'd probably play every week in the Premier League with Brentford, whereas he might not at Liverpool or whatever. But I think Brentford are in serious trouble of being dragged into a bit of a dogfight at the bottom.
My only thing with that would be, how would Brentford have gone, right, okay, come to us, but there's a release clause in your contract that in 2 years you can go to a big boy. And that is because I agreed with you. When I first saw it, I thought, Brentford, I mean, you know, if they lose Ivan Toney, whatever, you know, they might be in trouble, like you say, of going the other way. So it's a little
bit of a weird one for them as well, because they don't usually spend cash like that. They have the Moneyball system that usually is more lower value. This took Potter from Hull, didn't they? And that didn't really work out, but it was for like 10 million-ish. In that kind of region. So, it's a bit of an out there one for them, but they clearly saw an opportunity, I think, before the cut-off of PSR for this year to steal a march ahead of some of these other clubs. And I do think this situation will be very different if it happens after the 1st of July, which I think is tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I think
it is. So I think this deal will either happen today for the volumes that we're talking about, or it probably won't happen at all. That's where I'm very much at. I think people are putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5 where Spurs are concerned. I don't think that exists.
Willem, Spurs pushing, Daniel, is he coming to Spurs? There's kind of rumours bubbling on X about Spurs, but I think if this saga proves anything, is even the journalists involved, you know, they're not being given a lot of information by the club. I mean,
they don't have a clue, mate. They don't have a clue. And I include The Athletic in that as well, who have obviously been, you know, they're a great reporting platform, and they've usually been pretty close to the club in the past. But this situation yesterday with Graham Smith and then the Athletic, they have ended up looking really stupid. I think they've heard something from a credible source that they probably have been able to rely on in the past, but they've not had full confirmation from the club either. The club haven't changed their mind. We need to it's a fallacy. Yesterday it was reported by journalists that had got incorrect information, and today the bid has been now officially rejected by Leeds United. It hasn't changed. I don't buy it.
Daniel here, we'll give you Skip and Road on and plus 40 million. Go on then.
I would honestly on that, just for hypothetical sense, I would take 25 million Skip and Road on. If I think that would be an absolutely unreal deal for Leeds United. You know, Rodon would easily be valued at 10 to 15. I would probably say Skip between 7 and 10 as well. 2 really real top players that had sought out 2 massive issues for us in terms of position, and 25 million for Archie to sort out a PSR situation for us. But I don't think there'll be players involved. I think it'll be cash.
Do you think this is going to be an interesting day? Do you think there's going to be something bubbling and it's going to be, again, something breaks later in the day and it could be another club that's swooping there? Could be Spurs, could be another club that just put that deal forward. I mean, like you say, it does feel like today kind of is the critical day, isn't it, really, in terms of if something happens here?
I think he's going to go. I just think he's going to go. I think there's been too much kind of smoke now, you know, and we're going to see the fire. I think he'll end up probably going to one of the others. I'd be surprised if it's Spurs, but I don't I don't know.
I think they're in a good situation at Spurs, and maybe some Spurs fans who are watching along can comment. I think Spurs are in a pretty healthy position financially, though, compared to some of the other kind of top six in quote. I don't think there's kind of the foot on their throat like the others to actually kind of shift on, and it fits their kind of mold, doesn't it? Like a young prospect, and I mean, I bet Ange Postecoglou would love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it certainly is a signing that it'd be a good signing for him. I think Spurs would be a club that could develop him and bring him on. I think that'd be a good move for him. I could imagine him still playing. You know what I mean? I can imagine him playing most weeks even. I just don't know. I think there's so much around FFP and PSR at the moment that you don't know what's real and what's not. And these clubs are trying to find ways to circumnavigate it all the time. And I think that's why then Brentford are able to even be involved in this conversation, because they've not spent in the same way that some of these other clubs have. So they're able to potentially steal a bit of a match. And the structuring of the deal, again, is really interesting, because if you structure the deal as, 10 million this year, 10 million next year, 10 million the year after, you can do different things with PSR again. But that doesn't help us because of the situation we've been put in 12, 24 months ago by the previous ownership, because of this situation with these players coming back and, the depreciation value of Aronson. Let's be straight. If Aronson had a good season last season and had the valuation that would cover his transfer fee, we'd have sold him. He doesn't. So if we were to sell Aronson for 7-10 million, which is probably the maximum of what he's worth, we would be in a much worse position on paper for breaking the rules. So that's why we're left in this situation. People are like, Aronson's been brought back as a replacement for Archie Gray. It's bigger than what's on the football pitch, unfortunately. Like, we're not playing FIFA, we're not playing Football Manager. This is the way that the rules structure that we need to work.
Absolutely, because and again, the question is, okay, so I mean, there's a post from the Wacko forum going around that Leeds should just kind of blow up, like, don't comply with the rules, just do whatever the hell you want, is basically the gist of it. And okay, great. So we don't sell Gray. We sit back and we go for promotion and we don't get promoted next season.
Yeah.
What happens then? So what happens then is our parachute payments drop like ridiculously low at that point. Then you really do have a gun against your head and you have to sell play, and you won't be getting 40 millions and 30 millions at that point.
Yeah.
But as a responsible ownership, as responsible custodians of the club, you can't look at that and say it's not an impossibility that Leeds might not get promoted. There is no guarantee that we get promoted next season. In that case, we'll be really screwed.
You're spot on. I find it almost hard to stomach some of the fans that are just do whatever, spend whatever. Where were you when we were absolutely on our knees? I've seen 2 administrations following this club. I was a season ticket holder involved in both. I've seen minus 15 points. I've seen it all. The crash out of the Premier League and all of that pain and suffering that we went through. And you are so carefree with the way that the ownership would just run the club. It absolutely blows my mind. And how narrow-minded we can sometimes be to this ownership group and the way that they've ran. I mean, just totally forgetting what we did last year. I made the point on socials yesterday that I don't want to come across as if I'm not saying that Archie could be this talent that we all think that he could be. His potential is absolutely unbelievable. But Ethan Ampadu's 23 years old, and we went out and signed him for 7 million last summer. Now, when Archie gets to 23, for all we know, he could just be at the same level as Ethan Ampadu. And we're talking about turning down 40 million, which we have now rejected. I can't, and I understand this dynasty thing. I understand the attachment to him as a name, him as a player, and all the rest of it. But it's bigger than that. Unfortunately, it is. We don't live in 1990 where, the values that we're talking about are £800,000 or 1.5 million. It's just a different world, mate. I'm sorry.
Do I like all this financial chat around football? Of course I don't. When we talk about football now, 50% or probably more, 75% of the conversation now is PSR, FFP, how much you're going to sell this player, who's got to sell this player, blah, blah. And listen, I'm sick to death of all the financial talk. I don't like it. It's not romantic. It's not why we like football. It's not why we love football. It's not what we grew up.
appreciating about the game. But it's the reality of it. It's the reality of the game today. And you can either live with your head in the sand and, let's
keep Archie in there.
I mean, the flip side of this is he has agreed to go to Brentford, by the way. He has agreed personal terms. We heard reports that his family had made contact with, or his representatives had made contact with other parties. If we're naive, are we so naive that we think players are looking after themselves as well? And now I don't know what happened with Archie. I don't know if Archie, nobody knows. And this is what annoyed me yesterday is people saying things like Farke's going to leave or Farke's quit. You see things going out, Farke's quit. Eddie Gray, Eddie Gray's so angry, and Charlie Cresswell's family's so angry, and you're just making it up. Who's confirming this? Who said this is what's happening? It's nonsense. We don't know.
I saw somebody earlier absolutely adamant that the reason the deal's fallen through is because Farke said he was going to walk. No, it's not real. You're just making it up. I'm just going to mention this while I've got a moment to read it out. So Fabrizio, an hour ago, despite permission for medical and first part of tests, Leeds United have rejected the formal proposal from Brentford for Archie Gray. Gray's situation remains open as more clubs are keen. Brentford wanted to get it done after available agreement, but deal currently off. That was an hour ago from Fabrizio. It's no more than what we already know, just reworded in a bit of a different way. But the person that's retweeted this, the Leeds United News, again, got quite a lot of followers, stinks of 49ers misreading the situation, eyeing up the cash and underestimating the backlash of the Leeds fans. That is absolute BS. I'm sorry, it is just total BS.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, it just escalated yesterday. And then obviously we had the new shirt potentially being dropped as well, which was just the cherry on top. And people absolutely losing their mind about what, to me, just looked like a normal football shirt.
Didn't mind it, if I'm honest.
Well, I saw it and I'm just like, what ifs? What ifs? It's not a very clear picture, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not, and I'm just like, we are just desperate to lose our minds. Yeah. We are desperate to find something to cry and whinge and moan about. That's all I can take from it, because is it PTSD from previous ownerships? We all think, oh God, it's Bates, GFH, Cellino. We've been scarred and we've had some horrendous owners. Yeah. But I can't believe how quickly we're writing off the 49ers. I can't believe how quickly we're just, burn and put them in the bin. They're just as bad as everybody else, blah, blah, blah.
We like the drama as a fan base. I'm almost certain of it now. We like this stoked up kind of drama. I mean, honestly, I said it at the beginning of the show. I'm going to say it again. The social media reaction to this has absolutely blown my mind. For some people that I've really, really respected and really, really liked the opinions of most of the time, I cannot believe how far off the cliff they've gone. For
the 49ers lied.
Yeah, the 49ers lied. No, they didn't. Where? When?
Where did the 49ers... Parag was asked in that Athletic interview about what about Archie Gray, and he said he can't commit to any player definitely staying or going.
He was even specifically asked about Archie and said he couldn't say.
He couldn't say.
Because you don't know. The facts are, guys, right, that likely the interest in Somerville isn't there for the value that we want. An attacking winger that's just finished as Championship Player of the Season should probably command 25, 30, 35 million. But the market is all over the place right now. And the facts are is that Brighton have gone and signed Minter from Newcastle for 25 million. So he's not going to Brighton now. So the likelihood is that transfer that we kind of thought would probably sort our PSR issues out isn't there. So we're now left in a situation where, okay, we've got this attractive young English talent, because that does matter in this country for quotas and whatnot. He has the interest at values that are way, way, way beyond. You are not going to see another transfer like this in Championship history, I don't think. No, 45 million or 40 million. It's crazy. Unbelievable numbers.
It's absolutely crazy. Deck, thanks for your comment. Guys, if you can like the video as well, please do get subscribing as well if you're not already. Deck, the problem here is we were braced for Somerville and Nonto leaving. This came out of nowhere. As a fan base, we were not prepared for this news. I slightly disagree, Deck. Me and Jason were on stream yesterday talking about the potential of Archie Gray leaving. It'd been building up this last week. It felt like something was happening. And it is what it is. It hurts. I'm hurt. I don't want to see Archie Gray leave. Yeah. But
the 49ers haven't lied.
Not
They
even
haven't
slightly.
lied about this, and all these conspiracy theories going around about Red Bull, input into this and everything. It just doesn't serve any purpose. Why torch it? Why torch it?
You know what I think actually. Sorry, I'll let you get that. And
No.
say, I think what really irritates people the most is it's Brentford. That's what I think. I think if this £40 million offer had come from Dortmund,
Everyone had gone, yeah, we get it.
Yeah, or even a Villa, or Champions League next season. So I think they'd be like, okay, good move for Archie. But this reaction towards the 49ers, I think, is born out of the fact that we see Brentford as this little League One club. And the fact is that the structures and the platform for football has changed. Look at the attraction to Bournemouth, who I think are an absolute puddle of a club. 11,000. They're just a League Two club in a Premier League. They've just achieved what they've achieved, and they've put themselves in this position. But they have 11,000 at home, and they have Tyler Adams and Sinisterra go there last year. It feels a bit like that, and they're able to attract these players. Justin Kluivert's gone there. They're able to keep hold of players like Dominic Solanke because their ownership have got the funds behind them, but they've got the Premier League war chest. If they were to go down, Bournemouth would be in absolute dire straits because they would have all sorts of PSR and money complications because their income, their revenue streams are so low without Premier League money that they'd just be an absolute nightmare. Anyway, I'm going.
No, you're absolutely wrong.
It's the Brentford thing that I think has really triggered people.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
they're just venting themselves towards other things because of it.
Yeah, indeed. Tim, thanks for your comment, mate. If the price is right, then sell. The player himself wants more wages and a bigger challenge than the EFL Championship.
This is the thing, because when last night I thought that's going through, it's a done deal, and I was like, what are Leeds fans going to say when they see that Brentford video where Archie Gray's been interviewed at the training ground and Archie's saying he can't wait to get started with Brentford, couldn't wait to join, etc., etc. Like, What are Leeds fans going to say then? And it'll happen at some point, possibly with another team. I don't know, but this, some of the things that are going around, it's just but from, like you say, from people who have a big reach and can influence a lot of people, and it's just straight away. This is like Ken Bates type stuff.
I think it's really damaging, really damaging, and I don't think some of these people have stopped to think about the influence that they have, because it's not just the people that watch, like even just us now, it's the people that they then go to talk to, and having that feeling and animosity around this ownership that is so far really has only done good things for this club.
Yeah,
it just blows my mind. I don't get it at all. Sure, it's disappointing to lose one of your own. It's disappointing, but it's nothing like what we've experienced before. Nothing like it.
Well, Jason, last season, the 49ers could have gone, you know what, actually, we won't be majority investors or majority owners.
Yeah.
They could have easily, they had to wrestle the club from Rads in a situation where suddenly their asset decreased in value. There was a huge problems with the contracts players had. Yeah. They took over a really difficult situation. They could have walked away. They could have, all right, 40 odd percentage, but it's still enough to go, you know what, we'll still let Rads kind of do whatever he wants to do. They could have done that. For me, they've been a good ownership group since they came in. And I'm not going to fly off the handle irrationally about something that A, has not even happened yet, and all this other stuff about Red Bull deals and all that. It's not for me.
I agree with you completely. And again, we are just completely ignoring everything that's gone before. Like I said, last summer was an absolute mess. The Nonto situation, they showed then that they weren't just going to take a quick buck. They showed it with Sinisterra. They wanted to keep him in the Championship. He'd have been the best player the Championship's ever seen by an absolute mile. And if he hadn't have gone to the length of taking us to court to get that move happen, he would have ended up playing in the Championship last season. They went out and spent on Perot. I've just... Sorry, I know we...
No, that's fine.
Each other's way. I've just seen Andrew's comment. Andrew, come on. Like, the one above that, Andrew Saunders, sorry. Yeah, this one. Like, all right, it's great in hindsight to say you should have taken the Nonto deal. We were all praising them for the way that they dealt with it last year because they wanted to keep the squad as competitive as possible. We all said we couldn't go out and replace Willie Nonto with the money that we'd have got for him. the Pirro deal, they went and signed the best striker with the exception of Gyökeres in the whole division. It was a signing that a lot of fans were absolutely cooing over. Duff loan for Spence. Sure, right, one loan signing didn't work out of all them transfers. That happens in recruitment. You know, he still at the time was considered by most Leeds fans to be the best right back in the division. It didn't work. He's a bad egg. Like, I just... Again, it comes back to the conversation we were having earlier that people just want to be pissed off at stuff.
Well, like Ian says here, we're saying at the Bantams, we need to be complaining about something every day. Modern day fan base and social media to blame, in my opinion. Yeah, and it's hard not to disagree with that. I mean, I people saying yesterday that this is like when we sold Becchio. This is like when we sold Snodgrass. We sold those players to a team, you know, in Norwich that I think were the same division as us at the time, practically.
They were yo-yoing, weren't they? Yeah.
You know, for pitiful amounts. You know, this is a completely different situation. Those how you can compare. I mean, what did we get for those? I mean, what did we get for Becchio? A few million?
I think we swapped him for Steve Morrison directly, didn't we?
Yeah, you know. You're comparing that to potentially £40 million.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, it just does not make any sense to me at all. David Gray here, previous administration is to blame with bad contracts and overpaying for players.
Let's just bear in mind that we're in a situation right now where we're having to deal with Max Verber not being able to command the fee from anybody else other than Mönchengladbach, and Mönchengladbach can't afford it. Yeah, so we can't deal with him because I think we would like to sell him if we could. We've got Roca going out for basically breaking even on PSR. We've got Rasmus Christensen, who's not worth a free transfer. I don't think a team would take him on a free right now. And we've got Brendan Aronson, who the previous ownership paid 30 million for, that's worth 10. You know, what do you want them to do? They're having to now say and reintegrate these players and say, look, we're going to keep you in the Championship, even on inflated wages. I mean, Brendan Aronson's going to be probably the top earner in the division next season. Yeah, even on half of his wages. So you just need a real sense of reality with it. You just need a little bit of a grasp on this actual whole situation and just take away a bit of the emotion. I understand it's upsetting to lose Archie Gray. I really, really do. We all love one of his own. It just makes it so much better watching and supporting a team when you've got a talent, especially a really good one. You know, not when you're clutching at straws at a Ryan Edmondson or somebody like that. Like you know, one that actually is a good player. But this is astronomical fees. You know, and are we saying he's better than Jude? Like, I mean.
You'd be hard. I mean, it's. I know. Andrew here. The problem is a terrible history of selling good or young players. There has only been a mixed success this first year for the 49ers. Pirro hasn't worked. Spence didn't work. Should have sold Monto. Well, but like Jay says, so we're bringing a manager who's won the Championship twice, who ended up getting us 90 points and getting us to a playoff final. We had an absolute mess with the contracts with the players. They did the best amount of work possible. The 49ers last summer, you know, they really did. They did the best amount of work. We'd have loved a proper number 10, you know, etc. But you know, when you look at the team and the fact that Rutter ended up filling that role because you had Somerville, Rutter, Nonto, you try to fit all these guys in. I mean, come on. I mean, you know, do we expect perfection?
Yeah,
what do we expect? Is it got to be perfect?
I had that out.
Got to be absolutely perfect.
I had that out on social media Brownie, you spot on. And I had that on social media last night with somebody where they were basically saying, "Oh, last window were an absolute disaster because we didn't fill a 10. We started with no left back, and I can't remember the other. There were three points I made, and I was like, yeah, but that's because you're not playing FIFA again. Like, most clubs or most sides have got gaps in their team."
Yeah.
And given the summer that we'd had and the situation, the contracts and the problems that the 49ers had, plus the time involvement, you know, we were running on maybe 6 weeks where everybody else were working with 10. We had to get the ownership pushed through and all that situation. Bear in mind, we started last summer where we were selling our ground or we were having our ground used as bloody leverage to buy an Italian club. Like, come on, like, wake up. I can't say it any.
We can't
clearer.
help you if you don't get it at this point. We can't help you. Mark, think Spurs are in the background somewhere. Would you take 25 million plus Rodon and Skip for Gray? I would. Look,
Yes.
lots of fans would. You know, Jay said he absolutely would. Look, listen, I would personally love to keep Archie Gray. There's players I would prefer to see go ahead of Archie Gray. Unfortunately, nobody's giving 40 million for them. I mean, I saw someone tweet about where we're sacrificing Gray to keep Aronson. Who's bidding 40 million for Aronson?
God, it hurts my brain.
Who's coming in with fine? Sell it. Hey, look, you want Aronson? You've got to pay 40 million. Fine, great.
They've got to be buyers. Like we need to come with PSR that isn't the buyers for them players. I saw somebody say earlier, sell Nonto, Voba, Melier, and somebody else to raise the 40 million. Like.
Paul G just started watching from the beginning. Well, Paul, you'll catch up soon, mate. Thanks for your comment. Totally disagree with you regarding Gray. Even Rads kept Calvin when we had a big offer. Between this sale and red on the shirt, they are showing they do not care. Well, the shirt sponsor is Red Bull. We know what the Red Bull logo is, and it's got a bit of red in it. We've had a bit of red in sponsors on the shirt before. The 1970s, we played in a red kit. You know, no biggie for me. I don't think that means that they're, you know, sacrificing the club for whatever. In terms of the Calvin thing, completely different situation with Calvin.
It's not even comparable. It's not even comparable, Brownie. At the time, we had championship wages, we had a championship squad, we had a championship PSR, and PSR wasn't what it is now. We've since gone up to the Premier League, inflated the club with Premier League transfers and wages, then got relegated with bad recruitment, and left ourselves, of the previous ownership has left us in a situation where we don't have the same landscape. 30 million was rejectable for Rads back then because of everything I've just said. This is different. If there was no PSR, let me tell you now, the 49ers would not be accepting this. And I tell you as to why. One, because he would help us get promoted, which is the main priority for the 49ers. And two, because they're not stupid. They realise that Archie Gray, in 2 years' time, could be worth 70, 80 million pounds. They realise this, but they need it now to conform with the rules. It's not difficult. It is really not difficult. These are money people. They want to make more money. Why would they want to sell something for 40 million now that they could sell for 70 million in 2 years if they didn't have to? Wake up. I can't, Brownie. Honestly, I've been going out of my mind with this. I'm sorry, and I know I'm being a little bit rude, right? I recognise it, but I've had this kind of swirling in my head for like 24 hours now with some of the social media stuff on it. This is the first time I've been able to verbalise it, and it's not that difficult for me. We are just wanting to kind of self-harm and have this self-perpetuating feeling.
Really feels like it's like what's the next thing we can get really angry about and complain about and whinge about?
Because, you know, the facts are we're one of the best placed championship teams. We're promotion favourites, but it can never be treated as like that's something to get behind. It's right. What's the next drama? Fergal, if it was any other player, would the uproar be as high? No, it wouldn't. If it was another, like Jason made a great point, if it wasn't Brentford, even if it was Liverpool doing that deal yesterday, I think everyone would have gone, yeah, fine, whatever. David, Red Sox in the 70s, and it didn't matter because I had black and white TV. Fair enough, David. Fair enough.
I don't want red on the shirt, Brownie.
We don't. But
it's not that big of a deal.
Apart from that, I mean, what was that wrong with that shirt? Jesus, man, it was just like they've even done this. Paul G, why are we the only club obsessed with following the rules? Well, okay, so it's like I said before. If we break the rules and 12 months we don't get promoted, what happens then? What happens then? Believe me, if Leicester hadn't have got promoted, it'd have been a fire sale. It'd have been a chaos at Leicester if they hadn't got promoted. Absolutely. You know, and when you talk about other teams, Nottingham Forest, we know what they've done. We know that Everton have, you know, done. They took points. You know, they were lucky.
Yeah.
The competition for who was getting.
Everton were really lucky.
But they took points deduction. They did take points deduction. Like Jason says, look, what 20 years ago we went into financial ruin. How can any Leeds fan, especially ones that live through that, turn around now and go, we'll risk it. How can you do that? No club has paid a higher price than what Leeds did. It basically ruined our club for 16 years.
Yeah.
And it stopped us. We've missed out on a decade and a half of Premier League money. We've missed out on all that could have given us. How can we turn around now and be like, yeah, let's sod it. We'll just break every rule going. And I agree, the rules are nonsense. The rules are stupid. It's pathetic. You've got Premier League teams now selling each other's academy products to meet PSR deadlines. It's an absolute atrocity. It doesn't work. It's absolutely stupid. I want to make that clear. I don't agree with it. But I also would be very uncomfortable if we just went, sod it, we'll do our own thing and risk it.
100%. I mean, you mentioned about Leicester. If Leicester had missed out on promotion, they would have been in absolute ruins.
Yeah.
So they'd have been talking about a 15-point deduction in the Championship, plus a transfer embargo, which they've only got out of because they've come out of the EFL to the Premier League, different organisations and whatnot. Locks, who we've had on the show previously, was very open to say, look, if we don't go up, we'll be in the Championship, maybe even League One for years. Because that would have been the catastrophic kind of meltdown that would have happened on the back of that. And maybe not League One, but I agree that they'd have been in the Championship for a period of time, because the way that their landscape would have looked would have been totally different. So I'm 100% in agreement with you. I lived through that, the pain and misery of League One and all the suffering that we had from the misspending in the Premier League to the misspending in the structure in the Championship to League One and all. No, guys, come on again, wake up.
Ian, if the deal isn't agreed today, then the income will not form part of the 23-24 PSR calculation. So is it driven by PSR? Well,
listen, this is the other thing as well. There's so much speculation around this PSR stuff. There's so much speculation about, did Leeds even need to make a big sale? We don't properly know the inside scoop. Now, it's 10 past 11 in the morning. Who knows what's going to happen today? And we've just got to wait and see. I wouldn't be surprised if something gets done today, but who knows how far that fee can be pushed up. Who knows? He might even end up staying. Who knows?
Can I just say, we shouldn't know, right?
No, we shouldn't. Exactly.
I understand we're fans of this club, right? But we support the team. We're not finance people. We shouldn't know whether we need to sell him today or not. So let me just say that the club are doing a great thing in making sure that all stays in-house. It puts us in a better negotiation stage with other teams for a start. So for me, if you want my opinion on it, because we don't know, I think it does matter. And I think that's why it's been rejected. If it's led to believe that it's been rejected because of the structure of the deal, that makes a lot of sense. But again, that could just be journalists picking on something now, because that makes sense. It does make sense. If it doesn't happen today, my gut feeling is that it probably won't happen to the volumes. I think this transfer fee is only being spoken about prior 30th of June. I don't think we're commanding 40 million post 1st of July, because it changes the landscape of what's going to happen. Clubs are prepared, like Brentford, as I said earlier on, they're prepared to pay a little bit more to steal a match and get ahead of the competition because of this PSR situation before the 30th of June. That's not going to exist post 1st of July. And I also then think that Archie will potentially have better options for him available, i.e. a Dortmund, because I think he would really like that move. I could imagine that would make a lot of sense. So, the landscape's going to change massively. I do think PSR is making a factor to it. If it doesn't go through today, it's then going to be interesting to know where the land lies for Leeds United. Do we have a kind of extenuating circumstances because we were seen to be trying to do something before the 30th of June?
Did the Red Bull deal tick the box? We've got to have the foot on our throat. I mean,
and bear in mind it's running 3 years too. So if we don't do it before the 30th of June, does that then limit what we can do post the 1st of July? Because we can't then affect last year, because you have to bear in mind 3 years ago is going to be affecting what we can do in post 1st of July. I know this is really confusing, but this is the way that it is. This is the landscape of what they're trying to deal with. So
this is football these days.
Yeah. Isn't it great? Isn't it great, everyone? This is what your fans have to think about and worry about.
It's crap. It's crap.
It's absolute crap. I just want to share this as well, because this is
this is something that was going around. I think this was made to be like a dig at the 49ers, I think, at first, but I actually read it in a completely different way. It's a quote from Marcelo Bielsa, who obviously we absolutely, a legend and just the greatest manager of my lifetime. We worship the man. We are Bielsa with us. He said, everyone who is a part of this business that football has become is replaceable. The only people who cannot be replaced are you, the fans, the people who don't ask for anything in return, only emotions. And that is the cold, hard truth. That is what it is like. That is what football is like. It is a business.
Yeah, it is.
It is. It absolutely is. And you can bury your head in the sand and think it isn't that way, but it's absolutely true. It's the fans who are the heart and soul, and what do you want? For me, I want a Leeds United that's competitive. I want a Leeds United that's in the Premier League. I want a Leeds United on the trajectory Aston Villa are. I really do. That's what I want. That is what I want.
Yeah. No, I agree, mate. I agree completely. Look, football isn't what it used to be. From a fan perspective, the emotion means less and less and less as to then actually what happens, and you just have to try and enjoy it for everything that you can as much as possible. But it is tough. It is tough, but it is what it is. And it is like this at all levels too, Like I've worked at lower level football, and let me tell you, like players come and go, they sign contracts or move for the money, or move to be close to friends or whatever. Like it's a job, it's a business, and the only people that really have the emotion attached to it is us.
Paulie, 49ers have been here for years. Anyone thinking they had no influence over Rads is naive. 49ers are not what you think they are. Bates 2.0. Did the 49ers have influence over that time period? I believe they will have done. But they were a minority state for a long, long time. I seem to remember they pushed, maybe in retrospect wrongly, to keep Jack Harrison when Rads wanted to get him. And I remember the majority of the fan base applauding that. So, Paul, ultimately, they didn't make the final decision on this kind of thing. Come on,
Paul. If you were genuinely, if you were sat there in your own thoughts and thinking that the 49ers are Bates 2.0, you literally need to go back and just do some revision, mate. That's all I can say to you, because I remember that time clearly. I was there every week. I was as invested in it as I am now, and that was miserable. Bates sold for the as quickly as he could in any asset he had, and skimmed off the top every single time. You're talking about. I mean, I love Archie Gray, but for me, he's not got the potential that Fabian Delph had when Delph came through, and we sold Delph to Aston Villa for £6 million.
Yeah.
Like this is. I mean, I can't. What do I even say to that? Like, it makes no sense. You are making no sense if you think that the 49ers are anything like Ken Bates. And I'm just going to reiterate this point. The 49ers only make the profits that they want to make if Leeds United are a Premier League club to sell. That's it. They don't make it off this 40 million that they're potentially getting for Archie Gray. They don't. It wouldn't even chip away at all the people that are involved in the 49ers. It wouldn't give them anything. It's so far away from being reality, it's untrue.
What's your day looking like now, Jason? You're just going to be refreshing.
Well, thankfully, I'm quite busy. Yeah. I've got to drop the kids off back at home after this. We've then got the F1 at 2:00. We've got England at 5:00. I'm then going to the cinema after that. So fingers crossed, I can kind of stay away from it, because it really irritated me yesterday, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it was tricky, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really, really irritated me. Not because like of actually even going, like, I'm disappointed in that shirt. It was more the overreaction and the feeling that we're creating going into what is an absolute monster season.
Yeah. Well, this is what I said to you as well, Jason, because I said to you, this is the kind of thing that can derail, potential title pushes, this kind of feeling and all this aggro and us kicking off about this, because, it's like you said to me, what are the next moves going to be for the 49ers? I mean, what do you think the 49ers are thinking? What do you think Parag's thinking there? He's like, I had a look across social media. He'll have people ringing him. I mean, what do you think they have thought about this reaction to this, because they must be aware. I mean, they're probably not. It won't influence anything, but I wonder. I just a penny for their thoughts, really.
It's hard to say, because how big is the social media reaction, like in the grand scheme of the fan base? It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because it could be a minority. I don't know. Like, we see it as a massive kind of outcry, but is that actually only a minority of the way that Leeds fans are feeling? I don't believe that an organisation like that would conduct anything based around it. They will think about the Leeds fans as a whole, as a reaction. I would hope to think that they would. But it's bigger than that. It's so much bigger than that. Just in Scooby's point there, we signed Delph from Bradford as a 14-year-old. We did, yeah. He came through the Leeds United Academy, and I'm pretty sure that when Delph went to Villa, he was 19. He'd played one full season in League One at the time, and Milner's not even slightly comparable, because we got relegated in absolute financial ruin. That's not even. Again, how do you make that a better comparison? Brownie, am I being wild? Milner going to Newcastle at the time, I think it was, for £3 million when we were selling everything. We were selling the tea lady. Yeah, is not comparable to now.
No, absolutely not.
Confusing.
Absolutely not. I'm scrolling, I'm refreshing. Luckily, I've got a busy day as well, so it's going to be. I mean, this is the other thing David's mentioned. Would like to really know what the Gray family's reaction was. We would love to live in a world where it was all sunshine and roses, and they wake up and it's all about Leeds United. Look, the Gray family, the links to Leeds, it's magic. It's what makes football. We love it, but they have to look after their own interests as well. If they get a huge offer from the Premier League, do you really think that we're gonna push that to the side? They're gonna want the best for Archie.
Of course.
And nobody has a gun against his head. He doesn't have to sign for anybody.
I fully believe that Archie would love to stay.
Same.
But I'm not in this world where I believe that he's I'm not leaving. Like, he will be listening to offers, and he will be listening to his representatives and his family. And, I would say that he's probably listening more to Andy than Eddie. In that, Andy will be a bit more attached to what's going on, a little bit more relevant in terms of the timescale within football. He's not long left it himself. And he'll be saying to actually, look, kid, understand that all you want to do and all you've ever want to do is play for Leeds United. But this is generational wealth. This is generational, this is your career. You could be playing for England in 12 months. He could be literally in England side in 12 months if he goes to a Premier League club. So, yeah, I'm not buying into it that he's sat in tears, oh, I can't leave Leeds United. I just don't buy it. Like, we feel like that because all we care about is Leeds United. We couldn't envisage a world in which we would ever want to leave Leeds United if we got the opportunity to play for it, but that's not reality, guys, and that wouldn't be your reality if you were in it either.
No, it wouldn't. No, I think that's spot on. Well, there we go, Jason. An interesting stream. We didn't plan it. Obviously, this isn't an emergency stream that we had to do. We had to get our 2 cents in. There's going to be so much happening on this story. I think it's going to be a chaotic few days. I just hope that on reflection, people can just take a little bit of time, think about this. We'll be gutted to see Archie go. But for the money that's on offer and the way the game is these days, I don't know what else the 49ers could do. I really don't. So it's...
No, I agree. I agree. I agree. And I mean, we can probably finish on Paul's comment there in that, look, if you want to be part of modern day football, you kind of have to get on board with a little bit of this. You're either going to sell a little bit of your soul to an Arab or an American or a venture capitalist company or some sort of business or institute if you want to be at the top table. If you don't, I get that. I respect that. I absolutely respect that. But then be prepared to be an also-ran in the Championship because the gap is so big, guys. Even your Bournemouth, who we were talking about before, have got massive, massive American investment. And you don't have a choice. And for me, the lesser of the evils, I would, Red Bull especially, and this going a bit off course, but Red Bull have had nothing but success in every sporting venture that they've ever gone into. And people go, oh, well, they changed the names at Salzburg and stuff like that. Salzburg had changed their club name 5 times in the previous 15 years, I think it was, before Red Bull got involved. So it's not the same. They're not going to do that to Leeds United. And if they do, and I'm wrong, then we can have the conversation about it then, and we'll start up Leeds United City or Leeds United Fans Club, whatever, in the bottom league, and we'll come through. We'll do that old story, right? But right now, that's not where it's at. It's so far away from that. These people are not stupid.
No. Finn, thanks for your comment. Spurs in the know on their biggest forum said they are pushing hard today. I could see it. I could absolutely see it. And it's not going to be the end of it now that we've had this news this morning that the bid's been rejected. It's definitely not the end of it.
No.
And we've just got to brace ourselves for what will be another interesting day. And we'll try and keep off the social media thing, Jason. For God's sake, blimey. Well, it's only the England game today as well. Just to
yay!
There as well. Just to
can't wait for that.
Joy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I want to thank everybody who's watched along. We've had quite good numbers on this one, so we really do appreciate it. If it's the first time watching us, please do like the video. Please give us a subscribe as well. We've got so much going on the channel. We'll be back tomorrow. We've got a round table with the guys tomorrow. We're going to be discussing all sorts from around the region, plus England as well. But it's been a pleasure to have you all with us this morning. Thank you for all your comments as well. For those who didn't agree with us or did agree with us, it's all welcome. It's all part of the discourse. We love it. Anyways, I've been Stephen Brown. With me has been Jason Booker. Jason, thank you very much, mate.
Thank you, mate.
And we will see you all again soon. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.